Manuel tightened his tie, his trembling fingers betraying his nervousness. The mirror reflected a 35-year-old man with tired but determined eyes. He straightened his dark hair, trying to tame a rebellious curl that insisted on falling over his forehead. "Daddy, you look beautiful," exclaimed a childish voice behind him. Manuel turned around, a smile lighting up his face as he saw his daughter, 6-year-old Luana. She was standing in the bathroom doorway, her big brown eyes shining with wonder. "Thank you, Princess," he replied, kneeling down to her level. "Are you ready to go to the park?" Luana nodded enthusiastically, her dark curls bouncing with the movement. "Yes. Can I take Mr. Whiskers?" Manuel laughed. Mr. Whiskers was Luana's favorite stuffed rabbit, a gift from her mother before she left. "Of course you can, but remember we have to get back early. Dad has an important meeting tomorrow." As they walked to the park, Manuel couldn't stop thinking about the meeting. His supervisor at the Red Knights real estate agency, Mr. Rodriguez, had scheduled a surprise inspection. Manuel knew his job was hanging in the balance. Sales had been low the last few months, and being a single father didn't help when it came to working overtime. In the park, Manuel sat on a bench watching Luana play on the swing. His heart sank as he thought about what would happen if he lost his job. How could I give Luana the life she deserved? His thoughts were interrupted by a sharp scream. Manuel jumped up, his eyes searching for Luana. He saw her standing next to a woman wearing a white dress, now stained with mud. "Luana," Manuel called, running towards them. What happened? Luana looked up, her eyes full of tears. "I'm sorry, Dad. I tripped and..." The woman turned to Manuel, and he felt his heart skip a beat. She was beautiful, with long black hair and green eyes that seemed to pierce your soul. "It's okay," the woman said, her voice soft and gentle. "It was just an accident." Manuel took off his coat and offered it to her. "Please accept. It's the least I can do." The woman hesitated for a moment before accepting the coat. "Thanks. I'm Catalina, by the way." "Manuel," he replied, extending his hand. "And this is my daughter, Luana." Luana, still with tears in her eyes, looked at Catalina. "Sorry about your pretty dress." Catalina knelt down, reaching Luana's height. "Don't worry, sweetie. Dresses can be washed. The important thing is that you're okay." Manuel observed the interaction, impressed by Catalina's kindness. He couldn't help but notice how natural she seemed with Luana, something rare since Luana's mother left them. Can I wash your dress for you?" Manuel offered, feeling guilty. "I live near here." Catalina seemed to hesitate, but then Luana took her hand. "Please come. I can show you my drawings while Daddy washes your dress." Manuel saw a smile spread across Catalina's face. "Well, how can I refuse such a lovely invitation?" Manuel's apartment was small but cozy. Drawings by Luana decorated the walls, giving a colorful touch to the modest space. While Manuel put Catalina's dress in the wash, Luana proudly showed her toys and books to her new friend. Catalina looked around, noticing the details that spoke of a simple life but full of love. Her eyes fell on a pile of papers on the kitchen table, real estate agent's forms, she realized. "Do you work in real estate?" she asked when Manuel returned from the service area. Manuel nodded, running his hand through his hair in a nervous gesture. "Yes, at the Red Knights. But, well, things haven't been easy lately." Something in Manuel's voice, a mixture of wounded pride and concern, touched Catalina. She found herself wanting to know more, wanting to help in some way. "Daddy has an important meeting tomorrow," Luana said, her childish voice full of importance. "With the bad man." Manuel laughed humorlessly. "Luana, Mr. Rodriguez isn't evil. He's just doing his job." Catalina looked from Manuel to Luana, feeling the tension in the air. "Sounds like a difficult situation," she commented softly. Manuel hesitated for a moment, then the words began to spill out as if a dam had broken. He told Catalina about the pressure at work, about how difficult it was to balance his career with being a single father, about his fear of losing everything. If I lose this job, he concluded, his voice low so that Luana, who was now playing in her room, wouldn't hear, I don't know what I'll do. Luana deserves stability, she deserves a home. Catalina listened to everything in silence, her heart clenching with each word. There was something about Manuel, a quiet strength, a determination to do what was best for his daughter, that touched her deeply. Before she could respond, a beep sounded from the laundry area. The dress should be ready, Manuel said, standing up. While he went to get the dress, Catalina sat, lost in thought. She looked at Luana, who had returned to the room and was now drawing in concentration, the tip of her tongue appearing between her lips in a gesture of concentration. An idea began to form in Catalina's mind. It was crazy, of course, totally inappropriate. But the more she thought about it, the more right it seemed. Manuel returned with the dress, now clean and ironed. Here it is, he said, handing it to Catalina. I hope it's good. Catalina picked up the dress but made no move to get up. Instead, she looked directly into Manuel's eyes. What if I could help with your work situation? Manuel frowned, confused, like this. Catalina took a deep breath, barely believing what she was about to propose. What if I pretended to be your wife, just for a day to impress your supervisor? The silence that followed was deafening. Manuel looked at Catalina as if she had just spoken in an alien language. Are you serious? He finally managed to say. Catalina nodded, feeling her cheeks heat up. I know it sounds crazy, but if your supervisor is looking for stability, a happy family could be exactly what you need to show. Manuel opened his mouth to refuse, to tell Catalina she was crazy, but then he looked at Luana, absorbed in her drawing, oblivious to the adults' conversation. He thought about all the nights he lay awake, worrying about her future. Would you do that? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Why? Catalina smiled softly. Because sometimes people need a miracle. And if I can be that miracle for you and Luana, why not? Manuel felt something stir in his chest. Gratitude, yes, but also something more. Something he hadn't felt in a long time. Okay, he said finally. Let's do this. As the sun set outside, casting golden shadows across the room, Manuel and Catalina began planning their little farce. Neither of them knew it, but that moment marked the beginning of something much bigger than they could imagine. Manuel woke up to the smell of fresh coffee. For a moment he was confused. I hadn't woken up to this aroma in my house in years. Then the events of the previous day came rushing back to his mind like a whirlwind. Catalina. The crazy plan. The inspection. He jumped up, his heart racing. As he entered the kitchen, he stopped at the door, mouth open. Catalina was there wearing a flowered apron that Manuel didn't even know he had. She was stirring something on the stove while humming softly. Luana was sitting at the table, drawing happily. Good morning, darling, Catalina said, turning around with a beaming smile. The coffee is almost ready. Do you like scrambled eggs? Manuel blinked, trying to process the scene. It was as if I had entered a parallel universe where I had a perfect family. Yes, I like it, he managed to respond. Luana looked up from her drawing. Daddy, Aunt Catalina makes pancakes shaped like rabbits. Look. Manuel approached, seeing Luana's plate. In fact, there was a stack of pancakes that, with a little imagination, looked like bunnies. Wow, he said, genuinely impressed. That's ... amazing. Catalina smiled, placing a plate in front of Manuel. I hope you like it. I thought it would be good to start the day with a hearty breakfast, considering what we have ahead of us. Manuel nodded, feeling a wave of gratitude. Thank you, Catalina. It means a lot. While they ate, Catalina explained the plan to Luana. Honey, today we're going to play a special game. I'm going to pretend to be your mommy for a day. Is that okay with you? Luana thought for a moment, then smiled. Okay. Can I call you mommy? Manuel felt a tightness in his chest. He hadn't realized how much Luana missed a motherly figure. Catalina hesitated, looking at Manuel. He nodded slightly. Of course you can, darling, Catalina replied, her voice soft. After breakfast, Manuel got ready for work while Catalina helped Luana get dressed. When he left the room, adjusting his tie, he stopped again, surprised. Catalina looked beautiful in a simple yet elegant blue dress. Her hair was tied up in a loose bun, a few strands escaping to frame her face. Luana wore a dress that matched Catalina's. "Wow," Manuel said, unable to contain himself. "You two look beautiful." Catalina blushed slightly. "Thank you. I thought we should look like a real family." On the way to the office, Manuel couldn't stop looking at Catalina and Luana in the back seat. They talked and laughed as if they were really mother and daughter. It was a sight that warmed his heart and, at the same time, scared him. When they arrived at the Red Knights, Manuel took a deep breath. "Okay, now is it?" he murmured. Catalina took his hand, giving it a reassuring squeeze. "Everything will be fine," she said with a confident smile. They entered the office, Luana between the two, holding both their hands. Immediately, Manuel felt the curious looks of his colleagues. "Manuel," a voice thundered. It was Mr. Rodriguez, his supervisor. "I see you brought company." Manuel swallowed. "Yes, sir. This is my wife, Catalina, and you already know my daughter, Luana." Mr. Rodriguez raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised. "Wife? I didn't know you were married, Manuel." Catalina stepped forward, extending her hand with a charming smile. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Rodriguez. Manuel talks a lot about you." The supervisor shook Catalina's hand, looking a little disconcerted. "Well, I hope they're good things," he said with a forced laugh. "Oh, sure," Catalina replied, her voice soft but firm. "Manuel always says how demanding but fair you are. That's why he works so hard to be the best broker possible." Manuel watched, impressed, as Catalina skillfully led the conversation. She talked about their lives as if they had actually been married for years, mentioning details that made the story sound authentic. Mr. Rodriguez seemed increasingly interested. "Well, since you're here, how about we take a look at Manuel's performance?" They headed to the meeting room. Manuel felt his stomach tighten. This was the moment of truth. The supervisor began reviewing Manuel's numbers. "As you can see, sales have been inconsistent over the last few months." Catalina leaned forward, her eyes sparkling with interest. "Mr. Rodriguez, if you allow me, I would like to understand these numbers better. Manuel works so hard, I'm surprised to hear that." The supervisor seemed a little surprised by Catalina's interest. He started explaining the graphs and tables in detail. Manuel watched, fascinated, as Catalina asked intelligent questions, demonstrating surprising knowledge about the real estate market. She even suggested some strategies that Manuel could use to improve his sales. "Impressive, Mr. Rodriguez commented. "Do you work in the business, Mrs. Hernandez?" Catalina smiled modestly. "Oh no, I'm just interested in my husband's work. I believe that family support is crucial to professional success." The supervisor nodded, looking thoughtful. "Indeed. Well, Manuel, I must say that I am reevaluating my opinion of your performance." Manuel felt a glimmer of hope. "Sir, I see you have a strong support system at home," Mr. Rodriguez continued. "And your wife raised some interesting points about sales strategies. I'm willing to give you more time to implement these ideas and improve your numbers." Manuel could hardly believe what he was hearing. He looked at Catalina, who was smiling discreetly. "Thank you, Sir," Manuel said, his voice full of gratitude. "I promise you won't regret it." After the meeting, as they walked back to the car, Manuel couldn't contain his joy. "Catalina, you were amazing. How did you know all that stuff about real estate?" Catalina shrugged, a mysterious smile on her lips. "Let's just say I have some experience on the subject." Suddenly, Manuel stopped. "Wait, I don't even know what you do for a living. Who are you really, Catalina?" Before she could respond, Luana pulled Manuel's hand. "Daddy, I'm hungry. Can we go get pizza?" And the moment passed, and Manuel decided to leave his questions for later. They went to a nearby pizzeria, laughing and talking as if they were a real family. As he watched Catalina help Luana wipe the tomato sauce off her face, Manuel felt something shift inside him. It wasn't just gratitude he felt for Catalina. It was something more, something that scared and excited him at the same time. Back at the apartment, after putting Luana to bed, Manuel and Catalina sat in the small living room. "I don't know how to thank you," Manuel said, his voice low and emotional. "You saved my job, Catalina." Catalina smiled softly. "No need to thank me, Manuel. It was a pleasure to help." There was a moment of silence filled with something unsaid. Manuel found himself looking at Catalina's lips, imagining what it would be like to kiss her. Catalina cleared her throat, breaking the moment. "Well, I think my work here is done. I should leave tomorrow morning." Manuel felt his heart sink. "So soon? I mean, you could stay a little longer. Luana would love it. And what about you?" Catalina asked softly. "Would you like me to stay?" Manuel hesitated, then decided to be honest. "Yes, I would like that very much." Catalina smiled, but there was a shadow of sadness in her eyes. "Manuel, there's something I need to tell you, about who I really am." At that moment, Catalina's phone rang. She looked at the screen and paled. "Sorry, I need to take this." She walked out into the hallway, leaving Manuel confused and worried. Who was Catalina really? And why did he have the feeling he was about to discover something that would change everything? Manuel couldn't sleep that night. Catalina's words echoed in her mind. "There's something I need to tell you. About who I really am." What did she mean? Who really was this woman who had entered his life like a hurricane, turning everything upside down? He got up early, his stomach churning with nervousness. Upon entering the kitchen, he found Catalina already awake, absently stirring a cup of coffee. "Good morning," he said softly. Catalina looked up, a tired smile on her face. "Good morning, Manuel. Did you sleep well?" Manuel shook his head. "Not really. I've been thinking about what you said last night." Catalina sighed. "I imagined it. Manuel, Before she could continue, Manuel's phone rang. It was Mr. Rodriguez. "Manuel, I need you and your wife to come to the office immediately. We have a situation." Manuel's heart froze. "Yes, sir. We'll be there in half an hour." He hung up the phone, looking at Catalina with concern. "It was my boss. He wants to see us in the office now." Catalina turned pale. "Oh no. Do you think he found out?" Manuel shook his head. "I don't know. But we have to go." They woke up Luana and hurried to the office. The path was silent, the tension palpable in the air. Upon arriving at Red Knights, they were immediately taken to the meeting room. Mr. Rodriguez was there, along with a man Manuel didn't recognize. "Ah, Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez, please have a seat, Mr. Rodriguez said, his voice strangely formal. Manuel and Catalina sat down, Luana on Catalina's lap. Manuel noticed that Catalina seemed tense, her eyes fixed on the unknown man. "This is Mr. Alvarez from Red Knight's headquarters," Mr. Rodriguez introduced. "He has some questions for you." Mr. Alvarez leaned forward, his piercing eyes fixed on Catalina. "Mrs. Hernandez, can you tell me how long you and Manuel have been married?" Catalina hesitated for a moment. 3 years, she replied, her voice firm. "Interesting, Mr. Alvarez said. "And where did you meet?" Manuel felt his heart accelerate. They hadn't agreed on those details. "We met at a cafe," Catalina replied quickly. "I accidentally spilled coffee on him." Mr. Alvarez nodded slowly. "Very well. And what is your job, Mrs. Hernandez?" Catalina opened her mouth to respond, but Mr. Alvarez interrupted her. "Don't worry about making up any more lies," he said coldly. "We know that you are not actually married to Manuel. In fact, we know exactly who you are, Miss Leila Catherine Robles Menendez." Manuel looked at Catalina, shocked. What is he talking about?" Catalina or Layla closed her eyes for a moment, looking defeated. When he opened them again, there was a fierce determination in his gaze. "Yes, it's true," she said, her voice clear and strong. "My name is Layla Catherine Robles Menendez, and I am the majority shareholder of Red Knight's Real Estate." The silence that followed was deafening. Manuel looked from Catalina to Mr. Rodriguez, trying to process what he was hearing. "But why?" he finally managed to ask. "Why did you pretend to be someone else?" Layla looked at Manuel, her eyes full of emotion. "I wanted to see how the company was really working. I wanted to understand the employees' struggles, see how the supervisors treated people." She turned to Mr. Alvarez, and what I saw left me deeply concerned. I saw dedicated employees like Manuel being unfairly pressured. I saw supervisors like Mr. Rodriguez using intimidation tactics instead of leadership. Mr. Rodriguez looked like he had swallowed a lemon. "Miss Menendez, I can explain." Layla raised a hand, silencing him. "No need to explain, Mr. Rodriguez. Your actions speak for themselves." She got up, still holding Luana. "Starting today, there will be significant changes at the Red Knights. Starting with your resignation, Mr. Rodriguez." The supervisor turned pale. "You can't do that." "I can, and I will," Layla replied firmly. "This company was founded for the purpose of helping people find homes, not to intimidate and exploit employees." She turned to Manuel, who still looked like he was in shock. "Manuel, I'm sorry for lying to you. It was never my intention to hurt you or Luana. I really care about you both." Manuel stood up slowly. I need some time to process all of this." Layla nodded, handing Luana to him. "I understand. Take all the time you need, but know that everything that happened between us, all the feelings, were real." Manuel took Luana and left the room without saying anything else. Layla watched him go, feeling her heart break. In the weeks that followed, the Red Knights underwent a transformation. Layla implemented new policies focused on employee well-being and business integrity. Manuel was promoted to supervisor, recognized for his dedication and work ethic. But despite his professional success, Manuel felt empty. He missed Catalina, or Layla, as he now knew her real name was. "I missed the laughter at breakfast, the way she played with Luana, the feeling of having a complete family." Luana also missed her. "Daddy, when is Mommy Catalina coming back?" she asked often. One day, while walking through the park with Luana, Manuel saw her. Layla was sitting on the same bench where it all started, looking thoughtfully at the horizon. Manuel hesitated for a moment, then approached. "Hi," he said softly. Layla looked up, surprised. "Manuel, hi." There was a moment of awkward silence. Then Luana ran to Layla, hugging her tightly. "Mommy Catalina, you're back." Layla hugged Luana back, tears in her eyes. "Hi, sweetie. I missed you." Manuel observed the scene, feeling something unravel inside him. All the anger and hurt he had felt over the past few weeks seemed to melt away in the face of the obvious love between Layla and her daughter. "Can we talk?" he asked. Layla nodded, wiping away her tears. "Of course." They sat on the bench, Luana between them, happy to have her family together again. "I'm sorry, Manuel," Layla began. "I know I hurt you deeply. It was never my intention." Manuel sighed. "I know, and I understand why you did what you did, but it hurts," Layla added. "I know, and if I could go back, I would have been honest from the beginning." Manuel looked at her, really looked. He saw the woman he had fallen in love with, the kind woman who had helped his daughter, who had saved his job, who had brought light back into his life. "You know," he said slowly, "someone once told me that sometimes people need a miracle, and if someone can be that miracle, why not?" Layla looked at him, hope shining in her eyes. "What are you saying, Manuel?" Manuel smiled, taking her hand. "I'm saying that maybe it's time we give a real chance to that. No lies, no secrets. Just the three of us, building something true." Layla felt her heart fill with joy. "I'd love that," she whispered. Luana looked from one to the other, a huge smile on her face. Does this mean Mommy Catalina is going to stay with us forever? Manuel and Layla laughed, hugging Luana between them. Yes, dear, Manuel said. I think so. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the park, the little family sat on the bench, talking and laughing. It was a new beginning, full of promise and possibility. Layla woke up to the sound of laughter coming from the kitchen. For a moment she was confused. Then she smiled as she remembered where she was. She got out of bed, put on a robe and followed the sound. In the kitchen, he found Manuel and Luana making a happy mess. There was flour everywhere, and they both had dough stains on their faces. What's going on here? Layla asked, laughing. Manuel turned around, a goofy smile on his face. We're trying to make rabbit-shaped pancakes. It's not working out very well. Luana ran to hug Layla. Mommy, can you help us? Layla's heart filled with joy when she heard Luana call her mommy. It had been a month since that conversation in the park, and every day had been an adventure. Of course I can help, Layla said, picking up Luana. But first, how about we clean up this mess a little? As they tidied up the kitchen, Layla reflected on how her life had changed. She had gone from a lonely executive to part of a loving family. Manuel's small apartment, which had previously seemed cramped, was now the most welcoming place in the world. After breakfast, they prepared to leave. It was Saturday, and they had planned a day at the park. On the way, they passed the Red Knights. Layla looked at the building, remembering all the changes that had happened. How are things at work? She asked Manuel. Manuel smiled. Much better. The new policies you implemented have made a big difference. People are happier, more motivated. Layla nodded, satisfied. She had decided to take some time away from the day-to-day management of the company, trusting Manuel and other trusted employees to lead. He wanted to focus on his new family. In the park, they found a nice spot under a big tree. Manuel spread out a picnic blanket while Luana ran to the swings. She looked so happy, Layla commented, watching Luana play. Manuel took Layla's hand. We all are. You've brought so much joy to our lives, Layla. Layla felt tears in her eyes. You also brought joy to my life. Before I met you, I was so focused on work that I had forgotten what it was like to have a family. Manuel pulled her close, kissing her softly. Well, now you have a family. Forever. They spent the day at the park, playing, talking, and simply enjoying each other's company. Layla found herself several times just watching Manuel and Luana, marveling at the love she felt for them. In the afternoon, as they walked back home, Luana held both of their hands, swaying between them. Mommy, Daddy, she said suddenly, can we have a dog? Manuel and Layla exchanged surprised looks. A dog? Manuel asked. Where did this idea come from? Luana shrugged. My friend Sarah has a dog. He's cute and plays with her. I wanted one like that. Layla thought for a moment. Well, having a dog is a big responsibility. We would have to take care of it, feed it, take it for a walk. I can do all this, Luana exclaimed excitedly. Please, please, please. Manuel laughed. How about we think about it? We can't decide something like that all of a sudden. Luana pouted, but agreed. That night, after putting Luana to bed, Manuel and Layla sat on the apartment's small balcony. The sky was full of stars, and a gentle breeze was blowing. So Manuel said, what do you think about the dog? Layla smiled. Actually, I think it might be a good idea. It could teach Luana responsibility, and it would be nice to have a little animal around. Manuel nodded. I think so too. But if we're going to get a dog, maybe we should think about moving to a bigger place. Layla looked at him surprised. Do you want to move? Manuel took her hand. Well, I was thinking. This apartment was great for me and Luana, but now we're a bigger family. Maybe it's time to look for a house, with a yard for the dog. Layla felt her heart accelerate. A house? Our house. Manuel smiled. Yes, our house. What do you think? Layla leaned over and kissed him deeply. I think it's a wonderful idea. Over the next few weeks, they began looking for houses. It was exciting and a little scary at the same time. Each house they visited brought new possibilities, new dreams. Finally, they found the perfect house. It was a 2-story house with a large yard, not far from the city center. It had enough space for everyone, including an extra bedroom that could be turned into an art studio for Layla. On moving day, everyone was excited. Luana ran from side to side, exploring every corner of the new house. Manuel and Layla supervised the furniture being brought in, discussing where everything should go. When the last piece of furniture was in place, they gathered in the living room. They looked around at the boxes that had not yet been unpacked, at the walls that still needed to be decorated. Well, Manuel said, I think we're officially home. Layla smiled, feeling excited. Yes, we are home. At that moment, the doorbell rang. Surprised, they went to answer it. At the door was Mr. Alvarez, the man from Red Knight's headquarters who had exposed Layla's true identity months ago. He looked nervous. Miss Menendez, Mr. Hernandez, he greeted formally. Sorry to bother you, but, well, I wanted to apologize. Layla and Manuel exchanged surprised looks. Come in, please, Layla said, opening the door wider. Mr. Alvarez entered, looking around timidly. I realized I acted wrongly that day. I was so focused on exposing the truth that I didn't realize the good that Ms. Menendez was doing. He turned to Manuel. And you, Mr. Hernandez. I judged you unfairly. You have proven yourself to be an exemplary employee and a natural leader. Manuel nodded, accepting the apology. Thank you, Mr. Alvarez. It means a lot. Layla smiled gently. We all make mistakes, Mr. Alvarez. The important thing is to learn from them and move forward. Mr. Alvarez looked relieved. Thank you for understanding. I brought a welcome gift to the new home. He handed them a package. When they opened it, they found a dog collar and some toys. I heard you guys were thinking about adopting a dog, he explained. I thought this might be useful. Luana, who had been watching silently, suddenly gave a cry of joy. Yay, let's get a dog. Everyone laughed, the tension completely dissipating. After Mr. Alvarez left, the family gathered in the living room again. Well, Manuel said, I guess it's official now. Let's get a dog. Layla laughed, hugging Luana and Manuel. Yes, we're going to have a dog, and a house, and a family. We have everything we need. That night, after Luana went to sleep, Manuel and Layla stayed on the porch of their new house, looking at the stars. You know, Layla said softly, when I decided to do that undercover inspection of the Red Knights, I never imagined I would find all this. A family, a home, true love. Manuel pulled her close. And I never imagined that that difficult day at the park would bring me so much happiness. You and Luana are my whole world. Layla looked into Manuel's eyes, feeling complete for the first time in her life. I love you, Manuel. You and Lana are the best thing that has ever happened to me. I love you too, Layla, Manuel replied, kissing her softly. As they hugged under the starry sky, Layla thought about all the twists and turns that life had taken. From a lonely executive to a beloved wife and mother, from a business plan to a love story. And there, in Manuel's arms, with Luana sleeping safely inside the house, Layla knew she had found her true home. No matter what the future held, they would face it together as a family. True love, after all, can blossom in the most unexpected places. And sometimes the greatest miracles start with a simple act of kindness,